Right, I'm going to make a start. We're going to kick into it. So I'm just going to start by talking through the purpose of today's webinar. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through an execution framework that we kind of discovered after 2 decades of doing what we do. Hi, Miriam. The other thing I'm going to do is show you how software can help with execution. And for those of you who want me to, at the end, I'm happy to demo our software that we built and show you how it does some of the things that we're going to talk about. Um, Additionally, I'm also going to share some data and some facts with you today that may surprise you, but it does kind of tell us what we're dealing with modern business execution. So, framework, going to share that with you. Software, going to share that with you. And then I'm going to share our software with those of you who want to stay on and see that afterwards. Let's get into it, and I will start to prepare you for what's going to happen. So, first thing is, we are going to answer this question today. Why do bad things happen to good strategy? So that's the question that we're going to answer first, and then we're going to have a couple others on the way through that we'll play around with. But essentially, that's what today's talk is about. Here is what you need. You are going to need pen and paper. I'm going to ask you to write things down, so make sure that you've got that there. You are going to need coffee. Some of you have seen me present before. I can see a couple of clients there. I go fast, and I'm going to get faster as I get under time pressure because I've poorly planned my presentation timing today. So I'm going to go fast, and so you're going to need to keep up with me. The next thing I need you to do is find the chat box and the like button, because I'm going to get you to engage with me today on a few things. I'm going to get you to vote for some things, and I'm going to try to get a sense of what I'm sharing and how it's landing with you. So you can find that down the bottom there in that toolbar. For those of you who use Teams and Zoom, there's a little chat icon down there. Find that, and then find that thumbs up icon and just give us a thumbs up in the chat box. And that way I know you're all finding it before I rocket ahead too fast. All right, so just get some thumbs up happening for me so I know you've found that icon. Cool, got those coming through now. So we are going to use that icon to vote today. So also find the thumbs down because there might be some of that happening too. So we're going to vote using those tools today, and we'll have some fun with it. So I want you to engage with me. I'm happy for you to chat in the chat. I want you to use those icons to vote yes or no for some of the things that I talk about. And we'll have some fun together today as well as doing some learning. So I'm going to start getting started. Hi, Gisela. Good to see you here. Alrighty, first piece. So, why do bad things happen to good strategy? Let's do a little poll to start with and see if we get a sense of this conversation. First question. Give me a thumbs up if you think you have a great strategy in your business or the business you work for. If you have a great strategy, give me a thumbs down if you don't have a great strategy. Right, so we've got thumbs up trickling through. So this is interesting because most businesses feel pretty comfortable that they've got a good strategy, a good solid strategy. Oh, one there with a one maybe there, two maybes, three maybes. Oh, okay, it's balancing out now. We've got some of the maybes coming through. The next question is, thumbs up if you think you have awesome execution, thumbs down if you don't. Right, thumbs down. Some laughing emojis, right? So this is the challenge in business, isn't it? Right? This is exactly why we had such such good engagement with this webinar and so many people signed up. So execution's the hard part. Lots of people are pretty good at doing strategy these days. Lots of businesses are quite comfortable with that cadence of reviewing strategy, but not everyone is comfortable with execution. So while we're going to have fun, I'm also going to teach you 6 really simple things that you can do that are going to help you execute better in your business from today, immediately, easy to do, easy to implement. So how this webinar started actually was I jumped onto Google, and you can see I've taken a screenshot. So I typed in another meeting that, and it pre-populated for me, should have been an email. So I hit enter, and this is what I found. I found pages and pages and pages of memes like this. And some of them are hilarious. Some of them maybe hit a little bit too close to home, but I kid you not, pages and pages. I could have made 12 or 20 slides of things like this that talk to the frustration that people feel in business. And that's really one of the core concepts that we're going to talk about today. Why are people feeling this way? They're frustrated, this real frustration coming through. One of the things that I'm really passionate about, and we're really passionate about at Advisory Works and with Beyond, is we hate wasting time in meetings. We hate wasting time in meetings. We're really passionate about people running short, sharp, focused meetings. So a lot of what we deliver today is going to be helping you figure out how to do that. And there's a reason for that. Why do you think people are frustrated in meetings? Chuck an answer in the chat box if you've got an idea. Largely, it's because people don't see any progress, right? You've probably seen this in organizations yourselves. We have meetings and we talk about a lot of stuff. What's getting done? Yeah, wasted on not relevant stuff. People don't get to the point, right? No agenda. No one's adding value. And so this really adds up. People want to be able to see that progress is happening as a result of what we discuss, as a result of what we tackled in the meeting. We want to see that things are really happening. So I'm going to show you these. It's right now. Execution of the next steps. People need to see that the execution is kicking on based on the decisions that we make. So people are spending too much time in meetings and they're not focused enough. And we can't afford that, right? Particularly with businesses in New Zealand, or New Zealand is far down the productivity scale as we are. We cannot afford that. So we need to get more focused. We need to run better meetings. Before we do that, I'll share some data with you. This is the fun part. We're going to do a little pop quiz. I'm going to get you to guess some answers and we'll rocket through this quickly and then I'll share the data afterwards and you will fall off your seats. How many hours per day do employees spend in meetings? Take your guess, chuck it in the chat box or write it down on your piece of paper. 3, Steph. 5 from Mel. 2, 3, 5, 2, 30 minutes. No, 30 minutes. You're an optimist, aren't you? 3, 3, 4. Really good guesses. 2 to 5 hours per day sitting in meetings. Now, the source for that is Forbes, so you can find a big research project that Forbes did if you jump on their website. 20 hours, Jeanette. That's because I make you do it per week, 20 hours. All right, next question. So, who's heard, give me a thumbs up if you've heard that saying, that's total lies, 9 out of 10 strategies fail. Give me a thumbs up if you've heard that. See, it's actually not true. There is zero research that backs up that stat. It was said by a very famous management consultant, probably an expensive one, and other management consultants took it and ran with it because it, works for our agenda. But actually, the truth is very different. So Harvard Business Review did a research project on this, so it is backed by research. 9 out of 10 is not true. Chuck in the chat box, what percentage of strategic plans fail? Have a guess on that. Chuck your answers in the chat box. 70%, 30, 60, 75, 90, 75. Pretty good guesses coming through. So 60 to 80% fall short of their ambition. So the research that they found was not necessarily that strategies failed, but that they fell short of their ambition. And we've talked about this in our business, and we figured out that we tend to overestimate what we can get done in a short amount of time, say a quarterly sprint. We tend to overestimate what we can get done in a quarter, and we tend to underestimate what we can get done over a longer time frame. So it's one of the things that we can play with today with the framework. Next question, out of 5, how many employees rate their own company poor at execution? Chuck it in the chat box or write it down. How many? 3, you guys at 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. Man, another optimist again. 4, 4, 4, 3. The answer is 3 out of 5. Again, the source was Harvard Business Review, so they do some pretty good research. Isn't that interesting? All right, next question. What's the number one cause of failed execution? Is it A, B, or C? Or is it D, all of the above? ABC, exactly. D, all of the above, my favorite answer at school. So, meetings are a problem. and they're one of the core elements for successful execution too, unfortunately. We do need meetings, but we need our meetings to be better. So, how did you score out of those 4? Did you get 4 out of 4? Or did you get any insights? Any insights? Share them in the chat. I'm going to move forward and I'm going to speed up, believe it or not. So, the true cost of shit meetings. The average executive manager in American firms attends 12 meetings per week. Now, we're operating in a new environment. It's a hybrid environment, and heaps of people are working remotely. A lot of businesses are struggling with that dynamic, but 55% of remote workers think that the meetings could have just been an email. Give me a thumbs up if you felt that way yourself. Probably. I've certainly felt that way. So what's the cost of this? Look at all those thumbs up coming through. The cost in the USA alone is $37 billion. $37 billion. Again, that source is HBR. So imagine what that is in New Zealand, because I would imagine while the dollar figure might not be as high, I would say that we're probably worse, right? America tend to have good leadership structures and good business structures. So that's the figure, that's the cost of ineffective meetings. Now, for successful meetings, they must have an agenda. You must have a strong facilitator. We must focus on what's important, and we have to hold each other accountable. Sounds easy. Why doesn't it work? Right? Why is that so difficult to do? Now I'm going to share the framework with you and give you some context. So we've been doing what we do, teaching execution to businesses for 2 decades plus. And over that time, we've seen businesses fail to execute, we've seen them succeed with execution, and every quarter, those of you that work with us know that we review the learnings and try to learn what's going well and what's not with different organizations. Now, I've observed this with clients of mine for the last few years, and I've been tracking it. And I have found the things that equal execution versus not, okay? Literally found the ingredients. And if these ingredients are present, you will execute your strategy. If they're not present, you will fail to execute your strategy. And it is uncanny. I've tracked it and it's scary. Here are the 6 things. So we've called these the 6 fundamentals of execution. If all 6 of these are in place, you will achieve your strategic goals. If even one is missing, you will fail to achieve your strategic goals. Clarity and alignment. Do we agree on the most important thing to focus on? Do we have commitment from the team and the resources from the business? Are our calendars blocked out in advance of the timeline of the project where we've got focused time to work on it? Is there an existing meeting cadence in place in the business where we're reviewing our progress regularly as a team? Are we communicating our progress across the organization and keeping everyone up to date with how we're tracking? And can the people in the leadership team see at any given moment whether or not we're making progress? Now, quick vote. Which one do you think most businesses fail at? Chuck it in the chat really quickly. Which one do you think most people fail at? Visibility, all of them. Commitment, consistent visibility, cadence, communication. Oh, your communication, visibility. Man, you guys are going to be surprised. You're all wrong, like woefully wrong. Calendar, there we go, coming through. Alice, you got me, Alice. You already know. Calendars is the one that fails the most often. People try to organize the meetings to work on the project together as a project team on the fly, as opposed to locking them in advance. I have seen, and it is uncanny, those that lock the calendars in weeks in advance are the ones that tend to execute their goals the best. And they might drop one or miss one, but there's always one coming and it holds you to account. You always know the other one's coming. The other one you guys got right, and that's communication. That tends to be something that most businesses wrestle with. Now, I'm going to give you some examples now of those 6 fundamentals gone wrong. So I'm going to talk you through some of the things that go wrong that we see, and you may engage in the chat if you feel like some of those things happen in your business or you've seen those in other businesses. So clarity and alignment. The senior leadership team have to agree on what success looks like, and we have to know what done looks like. It can't be a gray area. It has to be binary. When we get to the end of a project, can we look back and go, yes, we achieved that project? Now, One of the challenges is if you're a senior leader and you've got an important role, like say a CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, your marketing role is still important. But what we're saying at a strategic level from a senior leadership team position, the strategy is the most important element. So we have to agree and align around the fact that that's the priority. Now, the next thing is the team members have to commit to being on the project team. And what I've observed is when you delegate and say, you're on the project team and I need you to do this, versus a person saying, hey, I'd like to be on that team. What part can I help with? Very, very different outcome. So when people are opting into being on the team, you tend to have better success than when you're delegating people to be on the team. Now, again, if they don't treat it as their highest priority, it won't work. Business as usual will win the day. Now, equally, the boss or the business needs to commit the resources, have to commit the resources. And sometimes that's time away from their day job to work on that initiative, right? Or it might be money or time. So the next one is cadence. If you don't have a custom designed meeting architecture in your business that fits your business in your language with agendas that fit your business and are in your language, you'll struggle to execute. Also, another red flag is when people turn up to meetings and wing it and they're not prepared and they make it up as they go. If you're seeing that happening, you got to put a stop to that, get a warning and get them turning up prepared because that's a major derailer of progress. Calendars. Project meetings are not forward booked in the calendar. So if you go away today and do one thing, it is lock in advance the calendar, blocked time in your calendar to work on your strategic initiatives. If you're doing it ad hoc, you'll miss more often than not because business as usual will win the day. And then if they're ad hoc, often you'll have people who don't show up because other things get in the way. When they're locked in advance, everyone knows in advance when they need to be there. Now, communication's a couple of things. The courageous conversation has to happen first. And then once we've agreed and aligned, or even if we've disagreed but aligned, the communications need to filter up and down the organization. They can't just sit with the leadership team. Strategies fail at middle management. It has to go down past that layer into the rest of the organization, and it needs to be communicated regularly. I'm going to show you how you can do that with a click of the button later. Consistent visibility, we need to be able to see progress that we're making. Traffic lights are a good tool for that, and I've got a very strong opinion. Some of you know I've got a very strong opinion on traffic lights. I'll talk to that in a moment too. And also, are you tracking the right, do you have the right measures? Are you tracking the right numbers? Are they telling you whether or not you're succeeding? So that's another key part. So, piece of paper and in the chat box if you want, score yourself out of 10 against these 6. Find the lowest one and share that for you in the calendar. What's the one that you do the least frequently or the one that you feel the least confident in? Share that and we'll just get a sense check of whether the trend plays out differently for those of you on the call. So which one scores the lowest for you? Chuck it in the chat. Obviously, typing clarity and alignment just takes longer than cadence. Cadence, Britta, good. Interesting. That one doesn't come up as often. I often see a lot of businesses have a meeting cadence, whether it's the best one for their business or not can be debated, but wow, visibility, best cadence. Yeah, okay. Commitment, okay. Commitment of resources or commitment of time. Okay, interesting trends coming through there. Traffic lights. No one listens to yellow traffic lights. You should never use them in business. I'm very firm on that. Don't waste your time with yellow traffic lights. There's a woman who sped through an intersection in Auckland 2 years ago. She was pulled over by a police officer and she was ticketed. And she took that ticket to small claims court and she won. And her argument was, yellow lights are too ambiguous. How do I know whether I slow down or whether I stop? So you may have a little laugh if you've seen somebody going along with a project in your business saying they're in the yellow, they're in the yellow, they're in the yellow, and then what happens right when it's due suddenly turns to red? Total waste of time. Yellow lights, banned. No more yellow lights. We want green lights. Green lights mean I've got it under control. You don't even need to talk about it. You just move on. You maybe address it maybe once a month just to check that it is truly green. What we are looking for is red lights. Never have a yellow light. If it's yellow, in my mind, it's red. That means there's something you need to talk about and something you need to fix. So we want to go red light hunting every week. We want to find those red lights and we want to address them as fast as we can. And if you did just one red light a week, that's 52 red lights in a year. 52 actions you can take that make your business better that add up over a year, right? So go red light hunting. Key thing about red light hunting, it is not a witch hunt. We're not looking for who is at fault. We want to understand why. Because if we understand why, we can fix it. The reason why we're not fixing them is because no one's talking about them. We've got our head in the sand. That's what a yellow light is. It's just putting your head in the sand and not confronting the problem. Flag it as red, say you're in the red, and say you need help. Then we can have a courageous conversation. We can talk about the solution, right? Courageous conversations are going missing in businesses every single day because no one's looking at what's not working. They're just hoping for the best in the future. Talk about that shortly too. So why did we spend a fortune? Uli's on the call with me today. Why did Uli and I choose to spend a fortune building our own piece of software that does this stuff? Because what happened in the lockdown was we got locked down. And if you look at that picture, that's how it feels to be in business often, right? You're sitting there, you feel like you're by yourself, you've got all this information coming at you, you've got to decide how to make decisions. In COVID and lockdown, it was even worse. So we quickly, within 3 months, spun up an MVP of a piece of software that we could use in a hybrid environment to help businesses have these conversations. And it was purely because we couldn't get into a room and use pen and paper like we would normally do. We were forced to work online for nearly 2 years. And so we used the software as a spine for helping our customers have courageous conversations and fix things in the red. It helped us have those conversations. So I'll show you some more of that shortly. So most leadership teams spend less than an hour a month on strategy. Isn't that staggering? And I'd say that, I'm sure even some of you on the call would probably argue that you might even spend less, less than that, no time at all. And so at Advisory Works, we talk about spending at least 10% of your time every single week on your strategy. So give me a show of hands if you're spending 10% of your time per week on your strategy. Give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down if you're not. 10%, that's 8 hours a week. No, yes, no, 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 yes. Ooh, mixed bag there. So 10% of your time. If you're the business leader, it should be more than 10%, right? You want to spend your time working on the business, not in it. Vastly outweighed by no's there, so we'll talk about that as well. So strategic thinking's become a rare commodity. Why do we think that is? Why do we think it's become so tough? I'll give you the answer quickly because I need to speed up. It's because the world's changed, right? The world's changed. We're working in a different environment. We're working in a hybrid environment. And time is the new, too much compliance. You're not wrong, Paul. But again, what does that do? It robs you of time. Time is the resource that we don't have enough of, right? But it's also the best, most influenceable resource that we have when applying it to strategy. So things are more complex. The world has got more complex. And what that's meant is we're in this new hybrid working environment where SLTs are being forced to focus on business as usual. There's so much noise, we're just battling business as usual. We've got increased complexity, there's rapid acceleration of technologies that we're supposed to learn, like our one, and then there's information overload. How do we make these decisions? And there's some simple facts around that. I'm going to slow down here for a moment. If you're the owner of a business and you're on this call, let's have a first authentic conversation here. Let's be courageous and have a courageous conversation right now. Give me a thumbs up if at times in the last couple of years you've felt really, really lonely. Give me a thumbs up in the chat box. Look at that. Look at that. So this is the reality of business. March 2020. I'm with you on that one, Paul. This is the reality of business. It's really freaking hard at times, and it's really lonely when you're at the top, and you don't feel like people have got your back. And this is what we need to do as leaders, is we need to engage people in a vision that is exciting, that they can feel passionate about, and we need to bring them on the journey with us so that we don't feel like we're alone at the top. It's actually really hard to do. And you need a system, you need framework, you need tools to help you do that, particularly in the new environment that we are in. So if you don't have a system, whether it's ours or another one, I don't care. You need a system in your business that can help you with this stuff. Without it, you're going to have meetings that drift along without accountability. You're going to struggle to herd the cats. Your data's going to be all over the show. You're going to have subjective meeting notes. Eventually, people are going to get sick of having the meetings because no progress is happening. No one knows what's happening afterwards. But here's the worst thing: if you're that lonely leader at the top, where it's been that hard for you at times, and you're wanting to step back and step away, you can't do that if you can't trust your team to get on with it. And you can't trust your team to get on with it because you all said it earlier, there's no visibility, right? So in order to hand over control, you have to trust that your strategy is being executed in the way that you want it to be, and that other people believe that that's the right course of action. Okay, so that's what we're trying to work towards here. We are operating in a new atmosphere. It is a hybrid environment that we are working in. It's not going away, and we don't know all the answers either. No one does at this juncture, from what I can see. But the simple fact is, it's there, and we've got to deal with it, right? It's like a red light. It's a red light we've got to deal with. Hope, unfortunately, is not a strategy. So sitting there hoping it's going to get better, and sitting there hoping that your team's going to get on board, and sitting there hoping that you're going to achieve your strategic action, that's not going to work for you. You've got to do this deliberately. So we've got to connect the dots between your future and your strategy and the business as usual that you've got to deal with. So we need this system that gives us transparency of processes, that informs our leaders and keeps them up to date. Here's the main one that I've highlighted in green. You've got to focus on what matters, right? Particularly at a leadership team level, focus on what matters. We've got to have the courageous conversations. We've got to bring data to the conversation so that it's not just the loudest ego in the room that's being heard. And then accountable. I have a mixed kind of feeling about the word accountability. My preference is ownership. Accountability to me is when a leader has to tell people what to do. For me, ownership is when people go, hey, how can I help with that? So for me, it's ownership. And when teams are opting in and taking ownership of what they're going to do, you hold each other to account. It's not some poor person at the top who feels lonely telling everybody else what they have to do and trying to hold them to account for it. Instead, you've got a team of people who believe in that shared vision and do it together, right? So what we do with Beyond is we try to give you time to focus on what really matters. And how do we do that? What we built during COVID was essentially a mission control. It was a really simple dashboard that highlighted the things that you needed to talk about. Over the last 2 years, it became popular. We've now made it available to the public, and we've advanced it a lot and invested a lot of money in it. Now it's become a comprehensive support system for strategy. And I'll talk a little bit around some of the things that we can do, and I'll show it to those of you that you want to. But basically, we don't want red lights, we want green lights. We want to find those red lights and we want to fix them quickly. If strategy is difficult to do, it's probably not a good strategy. Two, you probably don't have the right tools, systems, and structures around you to execute it. So we want things to be simple. The next thing is with clarity comes confidence. So in those 6 C's where you saw clarity at the top, clarity and alignment, when people don't have clarity, they do not have confidence. So how can you trust somebody to go away and do the right thing and make the right decision if they're not clear? So you have to get clarity first before you can deploy those other measures. Now, here's the beautiful thing if you're that lonely leader. Once your team has clarity, and you can see that the right things are happening in your business, you get confidence too, and you can hand that trust back over. Now, this is the missing link for business leaders and people everywhere. The missing link is the ability to hand trust back over and step back from the business. You need to be able to see that the strategy that you want to execute is being executed in the best manner possible. So good things can happen to good strategies when you have the right systems, processes, and tools around you. So guess in the chat box, What is the most valuable, strategic, and irreplaceable commodity of all? See if you can have a quick guess on that. I am 2 minutes over time. I'm about to wrap things up. Um, what is the most valuable commodity in this new hybrid environment? Hint, it was on a slide earlier. Time, thank you. So time's the most irreplaceable commodity that we have. So what are you going to do with yours, right? How do you want to spend your time? Now, that was a rapid fast presentation because I want to spend some time and show those of you who want to stay on for the software. I'll show you and give you a glimpse at that. I've got a couple more things to show you as well. So first of all, I want you to write down what's one insight you've had today. I want to make sure that the content that I delivered gave you some insights. Otherwise, I've wasted your lunch break where you could have been at a cafe having a coffee and a sandwich. So the 6 C's for you, Britta. Any insights you've had, please share them in the chat box so that I know that it landed. Nice, Mel. Exactly. Turn the yellow lights to red. If that's all of you took home today. Yes. Good. Good. No worries, Nick. Okay. So Karina is no yellow lights. So that's what's landed with you all. Change accountability to ownership. Clarity for confidence. Oh, great, guys. So you've taken a lot of good stuff out. Karina's going to chuck up a poll. I'm not sure if I'll see it on my screen. You'll see it on your screen. What we can do is we can send you a PDF on how to run better meetings. It's about 10 pages worth of read, but it tells you exactly what you need to do. So if you want that, tick the box, we'll email it. If you want a free trial of Beyond, we're happy to give that away too. And if you want me to give you a personalized onboarding, happy to do that too. So those are free things that you can get today if you want them. Paid offers. If you don't have a strategy and you want us to help you with one, we can do that. So tick the box for that. That's another poll that Karina will chuck up shortly. If you don't know how to execute and you want my help with that, you can tick the box for that too. I can work with you for 90 days. And here's the thing. If we don't achieve what you want to achieve, I won't invoice you. So I am that confident that if you do the 6 C's and that if we put the right structure in there, I am that confident that you will execute your strategy, that I won't invoice you if I'm wrong. So there's no risk to that one either. So that's the paid option. So the free options are sign up for a demo, have an onboarding session with me, or get that PDF. The next one is the strategy day or some help with execution. Happy for any of those things. Demo time. Give me a thumbs up if you want me to demo the software. How many are still on? Oh, you're all pretty much still on board. Give me a thumbs up. You do? Okay. Overwhelming a lot of thumbs up there. Only one thumbs down. Somebody doesn't like software. Fair enough. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to reshare the software here. So I'm going to give you a rapid fire one so that you can see what it does. I won't necessarily teach you too much about how, but this is our demo organization. Now, one of the things of the 6C is communication. Imagine if you could communicate with your whole organization with a click of one button. Here's how you do this. This is your dashboard. This dashboard shows you the 4 key things. Are we executing what we said we would? Are our people engaged? Are our customers engaged? And are we on track with our growth goals, whether that's revenue or profit or whatever financial measure you want? The next thing is, what are the 3 things that we're most focused on? The strategic initiatives that we're focusing on. Is our culture on track and what's off track and who's responsible, right? So that we can talk about it and we can help them and we can get it solved. Now, this is the simplest communication that you could send your team to get them up to speed with how we're tracking against our strategy. Here's how you do it. Come down here and you click this button once. Automatically downloads a PDF that you can send to your team. So that's the quickest and easiest way to give everyone in the company an update as to how your strategy is tracking. Now, where does the strategy reside? Here we have the overview of the strategy. This is your strategic vision, whether you use vision, BHAG, mission, everything is editable with one click, really easy. So you can change it to whichever framework, tool, or structure you use. If you use scaling up or something else, you can use whichever one you want, change the titles, all works the same. Here's your vision, here's your culture. In our opinion, the most important part of strategy is 3-year moves. Your strategic indicators, what are the indicators that are telling us that our strategy is working? These are the red lights that we want to be talking about at least monthly, if not weekly. And then what are the strategic initiatives that we're focused on as an organization? Our recommendation is 3, right? Anything more than 3, you tend to drop one. So 2 to 3 seems to be the right amount of initiatives. I've never seen a business achieve any initiatives if they've had more than 10, which is just an interesting anecdotal fun fact. You can also host here all your details around your target market customer, your products, and your positioning, how you speak to your customers, your brand positioning, brand promise, brand anchors, and key communication points. Your environment analysis, your pest analysis, your SWOT analysis, your capabilities that you want to develop, your systems, training, processes, any challenges you need to overcome. You can host all of that here. It's live. Anyone can see it at any time. You can update it at any time. And here you can create a vision charter that you can share with your team that maybe don't need to know all the details of your entire strategy, but they do want a snapshot of where you're going. By the way, on your strategy here, this blue button at the top, click this button once and it generates your plan on a page, a single page PDF that you can share with the whole company if you want to, or with the leadership team to get everybody on the same page. In the performance area here, what we have is scorecards that you can customize to fit your business exactly how you want them to. The Better Business Scorecard is our initiative, and this is what we call the shareholder scorecard. So what's the impact that you want to have as a business on your community? What do you want to do for your people? What's your core purpose? How do you measure that? What's the impact that you want to have on the planet? How do you want to impact the prosperity of the people that touch your business, suppliers, school, rugby teams? What's the impact that you want to have? You can set these targets and measure that. Your sales and marketing scorecard is how do we know we're going to reach our revenue goals? So if you're reporting on lag measures, anything that you get out of 0, what you're seeing is what has happened. What we want to be seeing is what are the activities that we can track that are going to lead to the outcome. And then with your financials, we are reporting often on things that have happened, but we've also got ratios that we can speak to too. We customize this for you, and it starts with a basic setup. Just when we launch your client file, it starts pre-populated, but you can customize it to be what you want it to be. But again, how do we know we're managing our financials well? Do we have cash? Is our balance sheet getting stronger? Just the key couple of things that we want to see and know. Now, here's the exciting part that I'm sure some of you want to hang around for, and that is how do you run a better meeting? So this is the core part of our software and how it helps with the execution. The 6 C's are built into this module. So here you can set up an agenda to be exactly what you want. All of your agenda items in the left there. You can bring data in from across the system. So I'll show you that here. You can bring in the strategic indicators. Now they are showing here, and we can talk about that when we launch the meeting. You can add attendees. You can set the meeting date and time. You can add that to your calendar. You write the purpose of the meeting. This is all governance best practice stuff. So it's a simple process that takes you 5 seconds at the beginning, and then you come up here and we press run meeting. Now, once I've pressed run meeting, you can see that the timer has started. You've seen a couple of additional tools come in here. We've still got these talking points. Here we can record our minutes over in this box. And this is a record of all the things that we're discussing as a team, not a transcript. Best practice meetings are not record everything that's being said. Best practice meetings are what are the key discussion points that we need to refer back to later. We've got a rocket here where we can add actions at any time. We can also bring through our strategic priorities, and I'll show you probably the most important and powerful feature. Here, when you bring through your actions, we've got this little icon here. This icon is our 6C framework. It's what's the outcome that we're agreeing on, clarity. How do we know we've achieved it? What success looks like, the binary outcome. All your subtasks and who's accountable, who's doing what, who's owning what part. When the meeting time is blocked out in advance in the calendar, what resources you need from the business to approve, any other key details, and any files and things that you want to upload. So we actually take care of the 6C framework in this part here, and then through the process of setting up the architecture and the meeting cadence, you take care of the other 2 elements. Here you can see that you've got, I call it a confluence box, where you keep a record of what is happening and what is going to happen week after week after week. You just update it with here's what got done, here's what we're working on. And this keeps everybody up to date at any moment as to what's happening with each progress. You can red, green these with one click of a button. Are we red? Are we green? And when's the deadline? You can change the order of these if you're a person that likes to prioritize. Then you record your notes here. when you record these actions, you can choose what type of action they are. Are they strategic? Are they a scorecard action? Are they a general action? Are they for the sales team? Who's it for? Who you're assigning it to? You can add extended items here, or you can actually add that 6C framework to an action if you need to. Now, the most important part that we talked about before was courageous conversations. So I'm going to press stop. Now what this does is when you run out of time or when you press stop to a meeting, it brings up this modal. What this gives us the ability to do is every single meeting, we have a courageous conversation about how that meeting went. So in the chat box, how was today's webinar for you out of 10 and why? Give me a bit of a sense here of how it was for you today. Just chuck in. Give me an out of 10 rating. How was today's meeting for you and why? In the chat box, out of 10. This is our courageous conversation today. Chuck them in there. I'd like to see them coming through so that I can get a sense of how it landed. Ah, thanks, Britta. 10, 8, 10. Cool. So what I'll do is I'll split the difference on that and I'll call it a 9. And you can see here that the comment is optional. And so we'll say what Britta said, focused on what will make a difference. Cool. So that's a good piece of feedback, right? Now, Uli, you're on the call. Maybe give me a poor rating and tell me why. So chuck in the chat box your rating for me, Uli, and tell me what about the webinar needed to be better. Hint, I went over time. Chuck it in there, mate. 2, heard it way too heard it too often. Good. And so what we've created here is the opportunity to have a courageous conversation, right? Same old story. So I'm going to submit that review and I'm going to close and I'm going to show you why this is important, because if you go up here to the scorecard, you can see your meeting performances over time, whether they're getting better or worse. You can see analytical data, practically what's going on. Are we going over time? How many agenda items? Are people showing up? Are the right people showing up? Are we doing too much? Are we doing too little? But also you can get a sense of what people are saying about the meeting, and you can see here same old story. So if your meetings are taking too long and rating low, you can go in and investigate why, and it might be that Logan likes the sound of his own voice too much. Okay, you can store all of your strategic documents here. We can have hot links to tools that you can bring into the meeting. So if you want to link to spreadsheets or HubSpot or Xero or anything else that you want to bring into the meeting, you can hot link straight to them. There's no integration required, so it's really easy to use. You can track all of your actions and you can sanitize your minutes before you share them. So you can check that what was recorded was actually what was said, and that's what you want to share with your team. So that's how the meeting module works. Here you can build out your custom architecture with any type of meeting you want. You just click one button, type the title, and then build out the agenda that you want. And we've got instructions on how to do that. With your actions, you can come in here. You can prioritize the actions for each individual by dragging and dropping those actions into an Eisenhower matrix box, urgent and important, not urgent and important. Then you can go in here and you can make changes and edits to these actions as well. If you suspect someone's overwhelmed, check this out. So a couple of my team only have a couple of actions, and then you look at my list. It's no wonder they're all in the red. It's too many actions for a person to deal with. So I can sound the alarm and say Logan needs help, and people can jump in and help me. You can look by action area, so you can go by scorecard, you can go by finance, you can go by strategies, any way that you want to drill down. Then in addition to that, down here on the left, you've got all other document storage areas. So anything pertaining to your strategy and your execution can be stored here. You've got a portfolio view. So if you're a business owner that's got a collection of companies, you can set it up as a portfolio. You can look at which organizations are off track. You can look at which ones are on track. You can click on any area and zoom into that area and see why. And you can see how engaged people are, how many meetings are happening, whether people are showing up, those kinds of details as well. If you need help with the platform, there's a resources button here. We've got videos you can watch and PDFs that you can download, and you can click a button and ask for help if you need it. And the cool thing here is for those of you who do want to give it a try, you've got a quick wins checklist here. This is a tour that when you click the button will show you through the different things that you can do and how to use them, so it's really quick and easy to use. So that was a demo at lightning speed. The next thing is Q&A. I'm going to go from here to any questions, comments, or concerns. This is me. It's for those of you who haven't met me before. I saw there's a lot of you on the call that have, but if you've got any questions that you want to ask me, now's the time. Interview the astronaut. Early, if there's any in the chat box, you can unmute there and ask those, and we can have a discussion. How are we going for time? So we got 12:47. Cool. So I'm happy to stay on for another 10 minutes if people like. So there's a Q&A button there where you can type a question or just chuck them in the chat box if you've got a question there. If the chat box isn't working, I can see quite a few people are still staying on, Karina, so we could, if you just raise your hand, Karina can unmute you as well. So we developed Beyond because we found doing what we do under lockdown was really hard for us as consultants, spending that much time. Mel, what is the platform I use? So we use Beyond in our own business as well. Truthfully, we do. So we run every meeting with our platform, and we host our strategy there, and we make our updates there as well. But we do our strategy meetings back in person again now. So tomorrow, actually, me and the team are going out on a yacht out onto the water, and we are challenging our strategy for the day. And then we'll come back, update that, and we'll all be together. So we won't have to communicate it as a team, but we'll get that piece done. Do all of the team have access? So, great question. They can, and it's up to you. You can have 3 different access levels. There's boss level, which is see, change, edit, and do absolutely anything. There's senior leadership team level access, which is see anything and edit the data you're allowed to. And then there's staff level, which is see what you've allowed them to see and can't edit anything. So there's 3 levels of access. What we find is actually it's enough if the senior leadership team has access at their right access level, and then you just use the tool to give the updates in your minutes or in your company-wide communication to the team. That makes sense. Britta, yes, you could use it with multiple clients easily. Just set it up as a multi-tenancy portfolio. Thanks, Catherine. I'm glad it was useful for you. Another Q&A. Aaron, can see you there. Thanks for coming along. Any insights from you there, Aaron? I haven't seen you for a little while. Thank you, Mel. No amber lights, yes, particularly in the sales team, mate? Plans to intentions to upgrade, maintain software. So we actually achieved a secret capital raise. So we are investing in the software heavily. We have a 2-year roadmap that's already defined. We have a set budget each month that is to respond to client requests or bugs or queries or things that we can do that we call quick wins. And then we have a long-term sort of roadmap of key projects. So what I would call this is probably our first fully featured version. So all the key features that we originally designed are done. We've now got a roadmap of about 6 other key features that are going live over the next 3 months. All of my so answer Catherine's question, yes, all of my team have access to my platform, and in my clients, I would say more often than not, it's just the senior leadership team.